Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
Welcome back from our first official holiday for the summer, Memorial Day, and what an appropriate morning to have the technical webinar for the cooling pilot program, since it's going to be in the 90s today. So it's I think it's going to be a great opportunity to help some folks out that really could benefit from some air conditioning or at least at the very minimum, some fans to help them through the summer. So sounds like it might be a hot summer. So we've got this pilot program that we're going to test out. What I would say is, remember, it's a pilot program. So as we go through the presentation, there may be some questions come up like, why not mini splits, or why not this, or why not that? It's a pilot program. We want to learn as we go through this, and hopefully, it's something that we might be able to extend. I don't know. That's Kathy's cup of tea, but maybe if it's successful, we certainly could have some argument to grow the program. So let's try to work with each other as we go through the summer with this new program, and hopefully it will be a success. So cooling pilot, what a cool idea. It's an opportunity again to reach out to folks that really could use some additional help during the summer and get through the summer in a more comfortable and probably a more healthy way. So for the cooling pilot program, you would reference your PA LIHEAP Crisis Pilot Cooling Program document that Kathy sent out with a couple of other documents to kind of guide your way through this. The document is broken down into 6 sections: statement of purpose, background, eligibility, program services, general program requirements, and program contact. And Kathy, you had wanted to step in here at some point, so you'd feel free wherever you want to do that.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to, because we had to rush through the slides last Tuesday, I just wanted to take a little bit more time it was really not to say a whole lot more because the technical side of it, of course, is why people are on the call. So to me, I just wanted to make sure that we were sharing the fact that the program is supposed to open tomorrow for applications and also end on August 31st. Some people were confused because we said that all the work needs to be done by September 30th. Just wanted to explain a little bit more about the dates there. That means that applications aren't going to be taken past August 31st for this program, and that you do have until then, just September 30th, to finish the work. That is because that's when the funding actually ends. So understanding that the reason for the difference in the dates is only so that you understand when to stop taking applications and when to just start completing the work on the people that you do have in line, kind of thing. I know some of the other questions revolved around receiving 2 AC units and or 2 Energy Star AC units specifically, and the fact that we aren't tracking people. We are just tracking the addresses. We understand the problematic part of this program, and that is when you're putting the window air conditioners in, that there's more of a temptation, for example, for people to take them with them, for example, when they move someplace, if they're a renter, or or even if they own the home.
Yeah, he can come in.
We do have, unless you have a question, it would be probably wise to mute. Is there a question though? I can answer. Okay. So, but we did have one good idea. Lehigh Valley, I'm going to give them credit because they are the ones that actually wrote to us after the call last week, and a suggestion of just when you are getting people to sign off on doing this work and giving them the air conditioner and the rules, that kind of thing that you're going to be using with them, as far as the uses of the air conditioner, client education on the uses of the air conditioner, what it's supposed to be cooling, for example. We're not trying to cool whole homes with window air conditioners, for example. That in fact, one suggestion that they had was also to get them to sign off on that the air conditioner stays with the home, making that part of the rules that they're signing off on. We realize that that may or may not, completely solve the problem. But then the other part of this is that if it's a renter, also getting the landlord to sign off on the fact that that is going to stay with the home, whatever for those air conditioners. So that's just one other suggestion that I thought was a good one, to throw in there for some of the comments that we got last week. Some of the other things that we talked about, I'm trying to think, the 2 air conditioners, eligibility. It is going to be a separate budget with a separate invoice and FSR. However, for the actual creation of the budgets, we do just want you to add another column like you do when you're dividing up, for standard and crisis, for example. Add another column to divide up the budget for the cooling program. The admin is up to 8%. And there's no separate budget for health and safety. I'm trying to think of some other pain points that came up last week, even after the phone call. I'm not recalling anything else, and I don't want to take any more of Jack's time, but I am going to be on the call the whole time and ready to answer any questions that you have, as far as the program requirements go. I am definitely not the technical expert, and we do understand that this is something new. And he brings up a really good point, and that's what we were trying to make a point of too. It is a pilot. The reason why it's a pilot is because we know that we're going to do something that we have never done before. So therefore, we understand that it's going to be a learning experience for all of us. So we ask you to take good notes and get back to us with anything that seems to not work for this program, because those are the kind of things that we can change, given the fact that we do seem to have some extra money coming our way. That is DOE money that we do have for sure coming our way. But the reason why we're saying the LIHEAP extra money is because of the ARPA funds that we spent this year. We have our annual LIHEAP allocations that come to us annually that are now, for lack of a better description, sort of doubling up on one another. Like we're going to be spending this year's annual allocation for the next cooling or heating season. And then, and so on, our annual allocations will continue to come like that. So unless we get a really big year of spending LIHEAP funds, we are probably going to have the funds to do this. That doesn't mean we have to, by the way. That just means that we will most likely be able to, funding wise, because the funding does make a big difference as to whether or not we do this program again. So with that said, I think I'm going to put myself back on mute, Jack, and just let me know if something comes up that we need some more clarification on.
Okay.
Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt, but real quick, we do have a message in the chat that the program is only for window AC units, no central or ductless units.
We'll cover that, I think, as we go through. There is an opportunity for replacements for total systems, but not to install a complete system. But we'll cover that as we go through. The ductless mini splits are not included in the program at this point. Right.
Thanks. Sorry, I put myself on mute and then couldn't find my way back out of it again.
Great, thanks.
But thank you. I'm sorry, I wasn't looking at the chat box. I'll definitely open that up parts so I can see that too. So I can take care of some of those in the chat box too.
Good, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Yep. All right, so for this webinar, really we're going to focus on sections 4 and 5. And before we dive into it too far, I think it's probably going to be a good idea just to go over some definitions and some acronyms that are used within Energy Star and some of the charts that you would be looking at, so that you can clearly pick. Because when it comes to room air conditioners, Room air conditioners are louvered, non-louvered, casement, and unfortunately the baseline SEER ratings are kind of all over the place. It's not one SEER rating. So it'll be important to really understand exactly what we're talking about when we start to look at those charts. So per Energy Star, room air conditioner is a consumer product. It's other than a packaged terminal air conditioner. For those who don't know what a packaged terminal air conditioner in the HVAC industry, we call that a PTAC. That's similar to what you would see or find in a motel room when you go to the motel, that unit that's on the outside wall that makes a lot of noise and keeps you up at night. That would be a packaged terminal air conditioner. Those are not included in room air conditioners. Powered by single phase electric current, encased assembly designed as a unit for mounting in a window or through the wall for the purpose of providing delivery of conditioned air to an enclosed space. It does include a source of refrigeration to move BTUs of energy around. And sometimes it could include ventilating, and they come in heat pump variations as well. So just keep that in mind, but a room air conditioner, or the acronym RAC. And then as we break that down, we have casement only, which is a room air conditioner designed for mounting in a casement window with an enclosed assembly, and a casement slider, same thing, with an encased assembly designed for mounting in a sliding or casement window. Reverse cycle, when we say reverse cycle, that's really another way of saying or calling something a heat pump, a unit that can use refrigeration system for both cooling and heating. And then through the wall, and you'll see I have highlighted without louvers. So there's a room air conditioner through the wall unit that will be built in. And when you look at the charts, they're listed as room air conditioners without louvered sides. Central air conditioner, that's the more conventional system, the whole house system, that you have ductwork in the basement and is distributed to each room throughout a fan coil. It could be a furnace, an existing furnace with an A coil on top of the furnace, or it could be a standalone fan coil. But that's a central air conditioner. Is a product which is powered by single phase electric current, air cooled, rated below 65,000 BTUs per hour, so 5 tons the maximum size for conventional system for residential application, not contained within the same cabinet as the furnace. And then an air source heat pump basically is the same thing as an air conditioner product other than packaged terminal heat pump, which consists of one or more assemblies powered by single phase electric current, also rated below 65,000 BTUs per hour, not contained in the same cabinet as a furnace, and is a heat pump or can provide both heating and cooling. And then when we say split system, you hear people say split systems. Basically, we're talking about that conventional system, and it's split because we have an air handler or a furnace or an A coil inside, and it's connected with a line set to the outdoor unit, or in the HVAC world, we call that the condenser. So an evaporator connected to a condenser via a line set is what we talk about when we talk about split systems. So talk about the efficiencies and the different efficiencies, because our guidance is that we want to make sure that we install Energy Star rated products when we put them in. So combined energy efficiency ratio, SEER, CEER, not to be confused with SEER, which we'll get to in a minute, is the energy efficiency, and it's dedicated to describing the efficiency of a room air conditioner as measured and tested and scored with the test procedure listed at 10 CFR 430, subpart B, appendix F. And if you're interested, you can just plug that in on your internet browser and pull that up. I'm probably the only person that would do something like that, but I always like to see what those test procedures include. SEER represents, really, at the end of the day, the tested efficiency of the room air conditioner in units of BTU per watt hour. So how many BTUs do we get out of it based on the amount of energy that we put into it in electricity? The higher the SEER, the more efficient the unit. So just remember, CEER is specifically for room air conditioners. Seasonal Energy Efficiency Ratio, SEER, SEER, is the rating of efficiency for central air conditioning systems. And even if it's a heat pump, it's really just the efficiency of the cooling side. It's a seasonal rating, so it's really looking at the amount of energy that that unit uses over the season compared to the amount of BTU output that it has across the entire cooling season. The higher the SEER, the less electricity the system uses when it's in the cooling mode. The Sear Calculation really is a mathematically determined ratio of the total cooling capacity during normal periods of operation, not to exceed 12 months, divided by the total electric energy input during the same time period. So it's really just, again, just looking at what's the BTU output of this piece of equipment based on the amount of electric energy that we have to put into it to run it. So if it's a heat pump, then we also have another rating called Heating Seasonal Performance Factor, or HSPF. And that's specifically used to measure the efficiency of air source heat pumps in the heating mode. Defined as the ratio of heat output measured in BTUs over the heating season to electricity used measured in watt hours. And the higher the HSPF of the unit, the more energy efficient that it's going to be. Another definition that we want to talk about is the AHRI, or Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Institute. What they do is provide certifications for equipment. So they test them at an independent laboratory based on what the manufacturer sends to them. And we'll talk about this a little bit later too, but what we're really going to be looking for is that certification tag if we're going to be working with central air conditioning systems or heat pumps, if we're going to get to the point where we replace one of those systems. It's a program that provides accurate and unbiased evaluation of heating, water heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and commercial refrigeration equipment. And you can go to that at the www.ahridirectory.org to find your certificate to print off if we install one of these split systems somewhere. Energy Star. So we talked about a couple of times now about we're going to be required to install Energy Star rated equipment. So what Energy Star really is, it's a government-backed symbol for energy efficiency. It's really a little bit better than just what I would call builder grade type stuff that's out there. So it has been tested through AHRI and is proven to be a little bit more efficient than just the standard equipment that you might be able to buy. Energy Star certified central air conditioners have higher seasonal energy efficiency ratios, SEERs, and energy efficiency ratio, EER ratings, and typically use up to at least 8% or more less energy than conventional new systems. And will be for this pilot, really the monitoring piece, or the inspection piece. We should be referencing the NREL SWS, and the NREL SWS does require equipment selection to be limited to Energy Star rated or equivalent equipment. And I think we're all used to seeing the tags. We have the Energy Guide and we have this Energy Star tag. So this is one thing that we should be looking for when we're trying to search out equipment for window air conditioners or even the split systems that we might end up doing. So under program services, we'll talk about fans before we get into the air conditioners too much. Households receiving fans, like Kathy said, are limited to 2 fans for every 8-year period. Households may opt to have 1 fan and 1 room air conditioner, if that would be their choice. When you're selecting fans, they're kind of all over the place. They don't make, Energy Star doesn't rate fans unless they're ceiling fans. So just in the illustration down there below, these are all 18-inch fans, but you can see we're looking at the wattage consumption there, and the watts is how we measure power, and that's how you're going to be billed. So you can see that there are two fans there that are 65 watts each, and there are two fans that are 88 watts. Now, the two fans on the right may move more air, I don't know, but just try to be a little bit cognizant of that whenever you're selecting fans, whatever type of fan you're going to get for your client. Research a little bit, and you want to get the ones that consume the least amount of wattage. So it is in the pilot that the fans should be high efficiency models. Room air conditioners, households receiving room air conditioners, whether they're louvered or non-louvered, with window or through the wall, built into the wall, are limited to 2 units every 8 years from the date of service. Should include a cover. It could include an indoor cover and an outdoor cover, I believe, in the documentation. But just beware, if it's on a second floor, it's going to be hard for them to get out there to put that second cover on the outside. So at minimum, cover on the inside, but if it makes sense to give them a cover for inside and outside, we want to make sure that we do that. They must be Energy Star rated. And you can find, if you go to Energy Star's website, energystar.gov, product finder, on the right-hand side, if you go down to air conditioners, there's room air conditioners and there's split air conditioners. You can find a whole list of Energy Star approved air conditioners. Now, you may have to research that a little bit further whenever you get to the store, but it's a good starting point. They give you some model numbers to start with. So check that out. That really should be your first place to start. They're already listed under Energy Star. And if you can match that product number up, you should be good to go.
Jack, sorry to interrupt. We do have a question.
Okay.
Joshua Locke, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just in the middle of trying to type it.
Oh, okay.
But thank you very much. Going back to the previous slide where it talked about the fans and the customer could choose to get one fan and one window air conditioner. So if they got 2 window air conditioners, they could not also get a fan, correct? So basically it's 2 units, however it's mixed and matched.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sorry. I thought I'd help. Yes. Yeah. It's either, they can get 2 fans and no AC, or even 2 ACs and no fans, but the combination is just, you can get one of each.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And then also, they're asking for clarification on mini splits. It's allowable as a repair, but not for installs.
That's right.
Okay.
I was just sending that back too.
Oh,
I didn't get to that. Yeah, sorry. I was writing at the same time. I was trying to unmute myself. I am not good at this. Sorry.
Okay. All installed cooling equipment to include heat pumps and central air conditioners should be covered under the manufacturer warranty and include labor assurances for a minimum of 1 year from the date of installation. And I know some of this equipment may come with longer warranties. So if the equipment requires an online warranty registration, we want to be sure that the client understands how to do so and is also capable of completing that online process. Sometimes you can get an extended warranty through the manufacturer if you do the online registration. That's becoming more and more common. So we want to make sure that if that's an opportunity for them, that we help them through that process. We also want to make sure that we provide good client education on what type of maintenance is going to be required by the manufacturer. Typically that's in with the installation instructions, but at the very minimum, the cleaning of the filters and fans, etc., what would be expected by the client. Follow under the program requirements. We want to make sure we follow everything under section 5 of the program document. And this is where it gets a little bit more down into the weeds. All window room air conditioners, including through the wall units, must meet the minimum eligibility criteria for Energy Star rating as shown on tables 1, 2, and 3 of the eligibility criteria. And that's under that document that came along with the program document on version 4.2. All units per Energy Star and the SWS shall have an energy saver mode as well. So that's both in the SWS and that's part of the Energy Star requirements. And if you don't know, there's a button generally on those window air conditioners if it has the energy saver mode where it'll actually cycle the fan on and off with the compressor. So it just saves that fan from running all the time. So that's a requirement of window air conditioners as well, to have the energy saver mode option. So this is really the tables, the 3 tables that I just talked about in the previous slide. And this is these tables are in the document that was sent out along with the program document. So you can see, if you look at table 1, we have the SEER base, and these are the units with louvered sides. So that would be your typical through the window air conditioner. So, and you can see also, based on the BTU ratings over here on this side, the SEER requirement changes. So you just want to be aware when you're out there looking or searching, when you decide what size you want to install, that, you know, you're looking at the right, matching the right BTU unit up to the right SEER level. And then SEER base over here in this column are units without louvered sides, or those through the wall units. And you can see that they're slightly, their SEER base is slightly lower, okay? So just beware. These would be the 2 areas once you've decided the BTU's requirement for the air conditioner you want to have, whether it has louvered sides or non-louvered sides, and then what the SEER rating is or should be. This chart over here just illustrates the same thing really, but it's looking at units that are actually heat pumps. They have a reverse cycle. So again, just line up whether you've got a louvered side or non-louvered side and match up your SEER rating. And then table 3 is for casements, whether they're casement only or casement slider. Again, that SEER base is a little bit different depending on which unit you actually have. So that would be your table of reference for your minimum SEER. And this is right out of Energy Star. And you can find that document also on Energy Star website. As far as sizing for room air conditioners, you know, you're pretty much everybody just goes by a rule of thumb. So about 20 BTUs per square foot of room area. Energy Star rating might be slightly different. There's different areas out there on the internet where you can go for help, but the 20 BTUs per square foot probably should work for most applications. There is an online calculator that you could reference. So you just put in the square footage of room area and it'll kind of give you an idea as to what size you should be selecting or would be most appropriate. So you can see here, obviously, the larger the space, the more BTUs. We're going to talk about a couple other outliers that you might want to take into consideration when you're trying to select that room air conditioner. One thing to remember about air conditioning, and some people don't totally understand it, but they do two different things at the same time. They take heat from inside the structure and pass it to the outside of the structure through a refrigerant system. But part of that process is also removing humidity from the air. So the more humidity you can remove from the air, the more comfortable people are going to be. So if a unit is oversized, it will end up short cycling. And if that happens, you're going to have reduced efficiency. It's going to cost them more for air to run their air conditioner. The dehumidification process isn't going to work very well at all. So they're going to have a cool, might have a cool, but it's going to be a clammy feeling. So the more you oversize that, the more that impacts the dehumidification opportunities for the air conditioner. And because it short cycles, it'll end up shortening the life of the system, which we don't want to do that either. So, and if it's too small, it's simply not going to cool properly. So we want to try and really, rather than just say, you know, here we have this 9,000 BTU air conditioner, we'll put that in for you. Let's do a couple calculations and kind of think through that process a little bit so we get the right size in there for them. There is some rules of thumb for adjusting capacity based on a couple considerations. If the room is heavily shaded, well insulated, maybe has low E glass, you might want to reduce the capacity a little bit, as much as by 10%, which isn't going to have a huge impact, but it's a consideration you might want to think about. And then if it's very sunny, maybe it's on southern exposure, no shades, no blinds, you might want to increase that capacity by about 10%. People give off heat energy, and they give off both sensible and latent energy. So if there's more than 2 people regularly occupy the room, you might want to increase the capacity by 600 BTUs for each additional person. If the unit is used in a kitchen, you might want to increase the capacity there by a few thousand BTUs. If you're installing an air conditioner near the corner of a room, or if there are any other obstructions, make sure that your unit you select can send the airflow in the right direction. That's going to be key to, you know, you want that air to be able to deliver across the room and kind of mix all the air and get that air that has humidity and needs some conditioning back to the room air conditioner so it can do its job. It would be best to really take a look and select rooms that are more open to the rest of the home, obviously where they spend the most time, but cover as much of the home as you can when you're thinking through that process. So just for an example, I mean, if we have opportunity for 2 window air conditioners, obviously this is a pretty big open area, probably going to be spending a lot of time here. If we can get one in a window here, we can pretty much take care of this whole area. So we'd want a size for this whole area. And then if they have the opportunity for the second one, probably the master bedroom. And again, if we kind of put one right in here in this window and the bathroom doors open, we can probably do a pretty good job for the bathroom and the bedroom. And when you look at this, we've covered the major percentage of the home. These 2 bedrooms are excluded, but if we size it appropriately, we can get a lot of the humidity out of there, and that's going to go a long ways towards making the entire home comfortable. So think about where the location is that you're going to have opportunities to put these, and try to select the best location. So I thought it might be a good idea to go to the SWS, because this is where we're going to be, you know, kind of looking at what is the requirements for doing this installation and kind of inspecting it once it's installed. So where you're going to find information about air conditioners is under the heating and cooling. So we go to heating and cooling, open that up. If we come down here for room air conditioners, the SWS lists them as non-distributed. So if you click on that, and then we're talking about the through the wall window air conditioners, and you see here, we talked about this earlier, the PTACs are not included, wall furnaces are not included. So if you just click on the through the wall units, and we come down here, pre-work qualifications is the first article in this section. Verify unit meets physical size of through the wall opening or would fit in the window. Verify electric receptacle meets requirements under the NFPA. And I have a couple slides to talk about that at the very end. But that's going to be a consideration for you when you go out there. Equipment selection matches available voltage, does not exceed the available amperage of the existing circuit, is size based on manufacturer specifications for the space condition, is Energy Star qualified and energy saver mode or better, and does not use electric resistance as heat. So it's primary heat. If it was a unit that also supplies heating, they want you to select a heat pump. Basically, they don't want you to use resistance. Installation, install unit per the manufacturer specifications in accordance with applicable codes. So those installation instructions really become part of your inspection process. And then support talks about, how to support the unit, sealing of the unit before installing through the wall unit, seal all adjacent framing and provide seals and sleeve opening. So again, this is the guidance. And as far as documentation and disposal, permanently remove equipment from a job site, recycle or dispose of removed equipment and refrigerant. Remember, these units have refrigerant in them, and whatever that would be whatever the local authority having jurisdiction requires, as well as we need to follow what EPA Section 608 of the Clean Air Act requires us to do. So permanently decommission the equipment. And then as far as for what to provide the owners and occupants, at a very minimum, the user's manual, the warranty information, installation instructions, and installer contact information. So that's your guidance as far as what are the desired outcomes once we've decided to give someone a room air conditioner. And again, that's section 5, and it's under 5.0301 is where it starts. Okay. So.
Jack, there were a few questions in here
Okay.
that I couldn't answer.
Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt. But
Nope.
give me a moment. I have to go back up to them. Hold on. Shouldn't, if the unit is Energy Star, it meet all the, and this is CEER ratings. Shouldn't, if a unit is Energy Star, it meet all the SEER ratings, CEER. I'm afraid I couldn't answer that because that one still is fuzzy to me.
It should. There may be the manufacturers have to, and I believe it's a voluntary submission. So the manufacturers would have to voluntarily, once they decide that they're going to manufacture a certain window air conditioner or whatever, they have to send it to be tested. Mm-hmm. It may meet the same requirements, but it just hasn't been tested yet. So, but as far as whether or not we can install it as that, at a very minimum, when you look at and I'm not sure, you probably would have to get the manufacturer's engineering data specifications to be able to see that clearly. But if you could find that data and the ratings meet this minimum SEER base, you could probably go ahead and install that unit. But when it comes to window air conditioners, I don't think you should have problems finding an Energy Star rated product out there, to be honest with you.
Gotcha. The next question, it seems that we probably will not be using the reverse cycle units that much, correct?
Yes, I mean, I don't think that we want to, at this point, get into providing folks with a heat pump. You're going to spend more money first out the gate. And second of all, there are a few different considerations that you would want to make, particularly if they already have a functional heating system, I say they already have one. I'm assuming that we don't want to use, if they don't have a whole house heating system, we don't want to try and substitute a window air conditioner / heat pump to do that job.
Right.
It wouldn't be an appropriate application for that. There are applications where it could be beneficial, but I think, again, just remembering that this is a cooling program, we don't want to dive that far into the weeds till we get some experience under our feet and are comfortable with what we're doing.
And this is the last one, and it relates to, I believe, the picture that you showed that had like the living room and the kitchen in it, and examples of, yeah, there we go. For the picture just shown, since that included the kitchen within it, would you increase the BTU by 4,000 or only increase it by 4K if you're installing it directly into the kitchen? Well, I'm not, oh, is that a kitchen in there?
Yeah, there's a kitchen.
Okay, yeah,
it's
gotcha.
It's all open.
I see, it's all open. Yeah, there we go.
You may want to consider doing that. This is where, again, how many people live there? How much cooking do they do? So those are just some questions you might want to ask. But yeah, I mean, if they've got 4 people living in this home and you know, they're cooking, maybe they're home all day long. So they're really, the additional BTUs come from the cooking. So the cooking is going to add, if they're boiling water on the stove, it's going to add latent heat or moisture that you need to get rid of, particularly if they don't have exhaust fans for spot ventilation. But then also considering, you know, the amount of people that are going to be gathered there at one time. So again, those are just rules of thumbs. They're not hard and fast that you want to do this. You need to think your way through that process and kind of make an evaluation. Maybe when you do the 20 BTUs per square foot calculation, you come right out to a 9,000 BTU unit. If you have a 10,000 BTU unit available, or 12, whatever, you might want to bump it up, 2,000 BTUs to help cover that. I would rather personally have an air conditioner that's just slightly undersized than have one that's oversized, because really the key to a comfort living environment and being able to make these people feel, comfortable with air conditioning is to get rid of the humidity. The more humidity you can get rid of, actually, the more heat in temperature wise that you can stand. If you think about it, yesterday was a pretty hot day, but when you looked at the sky was blue. So there wasn't a lot of humidity in the air yesterday. So even though the sun was fairly intense at times, you could stand being outside. But if you take a day when it's in the 90s and you've got, relative humidity level that's in 80%, it's not very comfortable even just sit outside. So that's kind of what you're doing with the air conditioning, is trying to remove as much humidity as you can.
We do have one more. I mean, there's actually several in here. Now I'm going to clarify. Hold on, now I missed it too, because what is the minimum SEER? And this is SEER for central air conditioning. I know the heat pumps were saying the 15.
Yeah, we're going to get to that chart. That's
okay. Yeah, sorry.
Yep, we'll get to that chart. That's in the supplemental, supplemental handout that Kathy sent out in the Energy Star 5.0. So if you look at that PDF document, we're gonna cover that chart as well.
Tom wants to unmute himself. Go ahead, Tom.
Hey, Jack and Kathy, can you hear me?
Yep.
Sure.
So from my understanding with these directives for this pilot program, we had over 500 people that received the LIHEAP crisis assistance this year, which we're going to send out letters. We're doing that this week. So if majority of them just want a one window air conditioner or a fan, or however the combination goes, 2, 1, 1, 2, whatever, are you saying that we would have to send a rep out there, an auditor, to basically evaluate the house to install one air conditioner? I'm not sure. We were going to hire a subcontractor to deliver and install them. And
so then you should have faith in what that subcontractor is. I mean, that they know what they're doing. I mean,
No.
let's put it that way.
I understand that, but I mean, if the client wants it in their bedroom, are we to evaluate and advise the client that we advise you not to have it into the bedroom and have it in another section of the house? I'm just, I mean,
Well, I think as far as that part is concerned, Tom, I mean, if all they're concerned about is their bedroom and they just want a better environment to sleep in, I mean, that I think that can be their choice. We're just trying to help them out. I think, Kathy, is that
Yes,
correct?
that is correct. I mean, to me, advice is not a bad thing because it's always good to educate clients on something that may be a better option. But if they're choosing, if that's where they want it, I mean, we're not refusing to put it there. I think I would just document that. In fact, we did suggest that possibly they would like it in a different room. Everybody's homes are so different. It would be really hard to answer this particular question unless, in fact, I mean, on a case by case basis kind of thing, but we don't want to look at everything that you're doing like that. So to us, what we're asking you guys to do is to have faith in what you're looking at and giving them the best advice. And if they're still saying, nope, we want it here, that's fine. Just make sure it's sized properly.
okay. Well, that answers the question. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the real intent there, Tom, is really just to, if they have no air conditioning at all, is there a place when it gets really hot that they can get to, that they can be relieved from the intense heat? So
to add 2 units, you suggested leaving an old one in an uncovered bedroom. To clarify, adding the 2 units as you suggested and leave the old one in an uncovered bedroom? Oh, like uncovered as in not having an air conditioner in it. Is that what you mean, Suzanne? We're not talking about the covers on the air conditioners themselves, right? She might be answering me and it's down below here. Yes, okay. So in any case, so yes, you're allowed to put still, now, I mean, you're trying to work with that client. So to me, yes, but you are allowed to put the 2, but you're removing a unit. If you're taking a unit out of one of those other places, you're removing the unit. We're only removing units where we're replacing them. Does that help answer that particular question? I have to look down. And then do we take the client's word that is 8 years or older only to get out and see that it's not? I'm afraid a lot of wasted man hours. I mean, when you're taking the air conditioner, I mean, there should be like a plate on it that would give you an idea about the age of that air conditioner. Am I correct on that, Jack?
you may be able to determine that from the serial number. It may have a date on it. It just depends.
If it's not working efficiently, you're still allowed to remove it. So, I mean, I guess I would go with it depends on what they're telling you about that AC and how it's working. So we're not trying to waste a lot of man hours as much as, trying to make sure. So I guess, for example, we're not coming after you if it wasn't 8 years or older. What we're telling you is that then it should be documented in the file that it wasn't working efficiently or well for that person. And that's what they told you.
Maybe it wasn't sized right initially. Maybe
right.
Somebody gave them one. It was too small for the area they're trying to cover with it. The window air conditioners, I think, pretty much have a lifespan of about 8 to 10 years.
That is what we based it on. So here's another. It's never been clarified to me whether or not we are installing or sending them to a contractor. With the window units, it almost makes sense for the auditor to assess and install at the same time to expedite and lower the cost. This is why it's a pilot. You can decide how it works best for your agency to decide how to do that. But yes, we are asking you to make sure that what you're putting in that home is sized properly. So if that means sending an auditor, then to your agency, then that is what we would go with. If in fact your subcontractors have that knowledge, that's okay too. So it depends on the knowledge base of the people that you're sending out there to install. The next one is asking about wiring. So I think maybe we will wait until we get it ahead of time, because I think you do have some electrical information also. I'll read you the question just so that we can, if we can hit on it. Is the wiring covered in the event that an independent electric outlet is covered for the window AC? A lot of times the circuits are overloaded or not wired properly. So the basic answer to that is yes, but there are a few more rules to it. All right, I'll put myself back on mute. I'm sorry.
Okay. Nope, we're good. We're good. Those are good questions. The other thing that I would want to point out too about the window air conditioners, for instance, if you're going to put it in a bedroom window, just be aware of what your local authority having jurisdiction says. And I think there was something in the SWS under window air conditioners. Just think about egress windows. And if they're pretty tight on that in the local authority having jurisdiction, the township and municipality, you just want to make sure that folks don't get trapped in a room if there's a fire or something. So that is also a consideration to think about. All right. So split system air conditioning and heat pumps. So now we're moving away from the window air conditioners or room air conditioners, and we're going to talk about split system air conditioning and heat pumps. So all replacement system, split system air conditioning and split system heat pumps will fall also under the Energy Star eligibility criteria listed in the document that you have or should have under version 5.0. Okay. If these requirements cannot be met, justification must be provided and submitted to the state for approval. All heat pumps and central air system work should be conducted by HVAC technicians that are licensed and trained and have the appropriate refrigerant certifications that we talked about earlier, that EPA 608 certification at a minimum. Under this particular program, the pilot program, we're only installing new equipment when there is an existing system in place that is not operable or meets the criteria under Section 5. So those would be the only times that we're going to really be looking at these whole house systems. We are going to be able to do a clean and tune. If it's broken, we can try and fix it. And then there's a little bit of criteria within the documentation that talks about when we can look at replacing it. So this is the chart out of the qualification criteria under version 5.0. This applies to central air conditioning systems and air source heat pumps. So the criteria is the base SEER is 15 SEER with an EER or energy efficiency rating of 12.5. So for central air conditionings, again, the minimum base SEER is 15 SEER with a 12.5 EER. Air source heat pump split systems, 15 SEER, 12.5, and then you'll notice over here in the right-hand column, we also pick up the HSPF rating of 8.5, so minimum HSPF of 8.5. Packaged equipment, the only time we might possibly get into what you could consider a packaged unit would be in a mobile home. But again, if it's packaged equipment, it's 15. The EER can be a little bit lower because packaged equipment tends to run a little bit lower. And same thing applies for the air source heat pump. Now, there is a note down here for gas electric package units to qualify for Energy Star. Gas electric package units shall meet the cooling portion of the single package specification requirements in table 1 above. So my understanding is what they're only looking for this SEER rating, as long as you can meet that SEER rating. There's another note under HSPF, so the first note for split system air source heat pump and central air conditioner, any star qualification shall be determined by the rated performance of the particular combination of indoor and outdoor units. So if it's an A coil on top of a furnace, that A coil gets matched up with the outdoor unit. And then you would look to see whether or not you can meet this criteria right here based on that combination, because there are different types of A coils, different types of outdoor units. But I think you should be able to find something that will match up. Existing heat pump and central air considered for replacement should be 12 SEER or less, inoperable, or have a life expectancy of less than 2 years. Okay, so that would be the other criteria under Section 5 for your replacement. System should be properly sized to the home in accordance with the local authority having jurisdiction, and that should be done according to ACA Manual J, and also utilizing Manual S, which is the ACA manual for selecting those combinations of equipment. And if you're replacing ductwork, if you're going to get into that larger scale job, then Manual D would come into play as well. Any required permit should be included in the cost of the system. Any decommissioning costs should also be included in the price of the system. So you need to keep that in mind. You can't just take these things to a landfill once they're taken out. So refrigerant needs to be removed and recycled. So there's a process to that. Yes.
I do. I'm sorry, but I think it's referring to something that you said back with the central air. So the first question started out. Oops, hold on. It's moving. Are these qualifications just to repair or replace the units or to install them? And then I had already answered, you can repair or replace if needed. However, we're only going to replace existing units. So then in order for it to get repaired, it also needs to meet those qualifications. I can't quite answer that question because I'm not positive I understand it completely, Jack. I'm sorry.
Are they talking about this?
I'm not sure.
Right here.
Ryan, can you unmute yourself or help us with which one you were referring to? Maybe I'll look down to see whether he said something else here. Nope. I'm sorry, I don't know that part. It came in around like the slide before this. That's why I think I was stopping you now, just to be able to throw it in for, because I'm not sure.
If I don't mind, that is a question for me too. So are we repairing them if they are below 15 SEER rating?
I think you have an opportunity to replace them at that point based on Section 5. 12 SEER was probably, I'm going to say late 80s. So you're well beyond the life expectancy of that unit probably at that. So,
well, yeah. I think maybe there again, say 13, 14 SEER now. Are we, do you want us repairing the 13, 14 SEERs? Or are we back at that criteria where, okay, we're not at 15, so now we're not repairing them? I think
you got to use some judgment there. There is the last section of that says or have a life expectancy of less than 2 years.
Right. Okay.
Thanks, Jack.
Obviously, if you have a refrigerant leak and you can't find that for 608, you got 3 stabs at it. So, I mean, just keep everybody in the loop, and let's keep good documentation of that so that we can build on the program if we continue forward with it.
That's correct. We do have one more. Got a question when dealing with the issue of R22 refrigerant. If the unit is a functioning unit but has a leak and uses R22 refrigerant, Are we replacing the system or attempting to repair the system? I think maybe this is close to what you were just talking about. So I apologize for reading the whole question, but I hadn't gone through it yet. Use the more costly R22. And really that has to be a judgment call too, Jack, right? I mean, to me,
if you're dealing with a system that's that old, then you've got R22 refrigerant and it has a leak. If you fix it, it's probably going to get another leak pretty soon. You should be looking at that as an opportunity to replace the system.
thank you.
Okay.
All right.
I
think we're safe.
Well, they're good questions. No, they're all good questions. We want to make sure, and there's going to be more, I'm sure, as we go through the program. That's why we want to start out with baby steps and kind of get some of the big issues out of the way first. And then, because if we have an opportunity to move forward with this into some different types of opportunities, maybe with modeling and everything, there's a whole different element of complexity that's going to come with that. So, all right. So for split systems, critical that the indoor and outdoor units are matched to achieve the ratings as listed in the Energy Star program requirements for residential air source heat pumps and central air conditioning equipment. Obviously, thermostats can become an issue, so we want to make sure we either install a new one or replace if needed. And if it's appropriate, central air conditioning covers are allowed to be provided. Just make sure they remember they got to take them off in the spring whenever they get into air conditioning mode. So the covers aren't required, but I think they're optional if you feel like that would be something that the client would benefit from. So here's what we'd be looking for. There was a question come up, so I just went online. AirQuest is a carrier product. It's like a lower end piece of equipment, but they do have a piece of equipment match, an indoor coil and an outdoor unit. You'll notice that it says the outdoor unit is 16.5 SEER, but it drops back down to 15 SEER based on the fact that the coil you're matching it with can't help but achieve the 16.5 SEER. So this is the AHRI certification we'd be looking for, and you can see this particular equipment match right here meets 15 SEER and 12.5 HSPF. So it is a good match. It's a single stage piece of equipment, so you don't need to worry about multi-stage equipment or anything like that. Whether or not you can actually get it if you ordered it, but this is what you're looking at for the indoor or outdoor condenser and the indoor evaporator coil, about $2,450. So again, you guys are experts at this. You're out there all the time. What we really need, though, because the SWS requires it and the program's going to require it, is that we have this AHRI certificate. If you could get that printed off for the agency so that they have that in hand, that would be very much appreciated. So again, you can go to Energy Star's website and go to find products, find the product finder, and under that you go to central air conditioning systems, and there's pages and pages of pages of equipment. Now this is just gives you ranges, so you'll have to look at the specific piece of equipment based on size that you want to use. But this is the first step in saying, okay, yep, there's some stuff out there. Maybe I'm going to look at a Trane XR14, but you know, it might only meet that criteria with the 24,000 BTU unit, 23,800 BTU unit. So you will have to go to a manufacturer specific. Distributors, wherever you're buying your equipment, they generally can help you out with that information as well. And a lot of times they'll even help you get the AHRI document, or they'll help you pair up a match that will work. Okay. But again, first step, find products, product finder, and there's pages and pages of equipment that they have already listed that meet that criteria. Central air conditioning systems should be inspected to verify proper functionality. So this is under the clean and tune part of that. So if found to either be broken or not operating properly, clean and tune should be performed. Again, if it's something that can't be repaired, if you're talking about R22 refrigerant, that's like buying gold on the stock market. So it's not going to be very cost effective to try and repair that system. So think through that, but the clean and tune should be performed according to the NREL SWS. And the process should include, at a very minimum, inspection, cleaning of the blower, evaporator coil, inspection and correction of refrigerant charge if necessary, inspection and cleaning of the blower fan if necessary, inspection and replacement of the filter if necessary. So let's go back to the SWS and see what it has to say. And here we're going to be looking at the forced air systems. So let's say, first of all, we want to replace a unit. So if we're going to replace a unit, we should start here with equipment installation, air-to-air heat pump split system. And we can see the first thing out the gate is going to be a load calculation. So a manual J calculation or equivalent using interior design temperatures of 75 degrees for cooling. So in other words, the thermostat set point being at 75, and then wherever you're at, your design temperature based on ACA manual J for outdoor ambience, and then 70 degrees if it would be a heat pump. The commercial part of this, if you've never looked at this before, the commercial part of this applies to, you'll see here, multifamily housing. So that would be if you get into multifamily housing, which we're not really looking at, I don't think. So room by room load calculation be performed when installing new duct system, or if you're doing a retro commissioning project, which we're not doing retro commissioning at this point, but and I wouldn't think that we'd be installing new duct systems if it's an existing system, but if there are concerns by your HVAC contractor when they're out there to maybe do some modifications, that might be a time to look at that. Equipment selection. So as far as the SWS under equipment selection, they're telling you to reference the ACA manual S process. Another note here, selecting cooling equipment capable of meeting the sensible and latent load that is not sized more than 115% of the total load or the next available size. So keep that in mind. That's just that's ACA manual S. Under equipment selection, they have a chart that shows the maximum you could oversize or undersize a system. So 115% would be your total max. Again, system that is Energy Star certified or equivalent. So, and then the rest of it all pertains. It's just outdoor unit location, support, installation, etc. So if you get into a job, make sure you go into your SWSs. Let's take a look at refrigerant lines and charge. Install refrigerant piping according to the SWS. Refrigerant lines. Install refrigerant charge according to SWS detail refrigerant charge. So let's go back and just take a quick look at that. That would be under refrigerant loop. So refrigerant lines, and some of this may apply to even the clean and tune. Select only manufacturer code approved refrigerant lines and fittings. Talks about sizing, installation, no kinks, no, things like that. Talks about the P-traps on the suction lines based on height. So your HVAC contractors are going to want to dig into this just to make sure that they understand what the desired outcome is based on the SWS. Let's go back here. So let's look at refrigerant charge then. So under refrigerant charge, before adjusting refrigerant system, verify the system is leak-free and the airflow of the system is correct. And this is one that often gets overlooked by HVAC contractors, or they fail to do it, and that is verifying that you have 400 CFM per ton of equipment at your fan coil. The newer equipment, it might be as low as 350, but 400 CFM per ton. If you do not verify that airflow before you start to do a refrigerant charge based on superheat and subcooling, you will not get the correct charge. And at PNNL, Pacific National Laboratory, in the western part of the United States, did a big meta research on this and found that 70% of residential air conditioning and systems in the United States are either undercharged or overcharged. And a lot of it starts right there with verifying system airflow. So let's just be diligent. And when we do these installations, we want to make sure that we do all the things that you're supposed to do for quality installation so that we install something for these folks that's going to last the expected lifetime. Okay. So there's a whole lot of stuff under this. Let's look at clean and tune. So clean and tune for the condensers. This is the outdoor unit. Verify proper function and safety. Fan motor, compressor, outdoor temperature, temperature sensors, bearings, safety devices, electrical disconnects, capacitors, contactors, all the stuff that we should be doing as a quality clean and tune. Clean the outdoor coil, condenser coil, straighten bent fins, level the unit, remove the debris, verify refrigerant charge is correct per manufacturer specifications. Any replace damaged refrigerant line insulation should be part of that. So again, this is where we go for the guidance to what are the desired outcomes for this. Let's look at the evaporator. So that's the indoor coil. Proper functions, safety, drain pan floats, condensate drain, condensate pump, TXV, that's your thermal expansion metering device, sensing bulbs, service, clear condensate lines, clean drain pans, verify condensate terminations free of debris, directs water away from the home, clean evaporator coil, repair and replace additional elements as needed, and then the documentation piece. So I know it's for the HVAC contractors, this should be routine stuff, but I just want you to be aware of where you would find, if one of these jobs gets inspected and monitored, where you would find the desired outcome that they'll be looking at to judge whether or not the job was done appropriately. Okay. So that's all under Section 5, heating and cooling. All right. How are we making out for time?
We're at 10:13.
Okay. So
We do have another question.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. Let's see. It's about Bluon. Can BLUON HVAC app? Can the Bluon HVAC app? I'm afraid that's as best as I can do there, because that's all it says. So I don't know what that means. I'm hoping it sounds familiar to you.
Trying to find it.
Yeah, it's up at 10:06. It's can the Bluon HVAC app?
Charles, I'm not sure what you're talking about. You can unmute if you want to.
Right. And I am getting the rest of these questions. The real quick one I can answer is, can we replace air filters and leave an extra for the client after giving them guidance of replacing the filters? And we would not have any problems with you leaving extra filters as long as you're documenting showing them how to replace it. And Charles is saying it is an app that helps with info.
Are you talking about a gauge app that will show you your superheat and subcooling, Charles?
You can either unmute or type it in.
But what I would say is if there's a recognized app out there that's recognized by the industry,
It's given info on system. It gives info on system installs.
oh, well, yeah, if there's a service support app out there that has manuals, et cetera, I mean, you could use that for sure.
Sure. What's
Okay.
it called? Can you put it in the chat box, everybody? Like, is it called Blue On? BLU?
It's a Bluetooth app that's been out there when you're charging to make sure your unit's running at the proper temperatures and pressures.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep. Yeah, by all means. I mean, if you got the digital gauges, or Testo even makes, you don't even need the gauges. You can just use your app. Just make sure you record that on your app. You should be able to record that and email that to the agencies. But yeah, you could use that. Okay, just a few considerations when we're talking about electrical. I know that question come up before. So when you're installing, particularly when we're talking about, I think the split system stuff's already going to be taken care of, and your HVAC contractors are well aware of the electrical needs and the sizing, et cetera. But when it comes to the window or through the wall room air conditioners, at a minimum, you want to think about voltage. What is the voltage? So small air conditioners may operate on 120 volts, but if you have a large unit that you're going to try and install, that may require 240 volt circuit. So again, you'll need to see what the manufacturer installation instructions require as far as amperage for your circuit or your overcurrent device. And then amperage is the other big consideration. So the smaller BTU AC units tend to draw less amperage, obviously. Your larger ones are going to draw more, and you're going to get to a point where you really need to consider that. If you're going to plug into an existing receptacle, you need to understand what all's on that circuit, how it's being used, how's it fused. Is it really going to service the need of this window air conditioner? I know we get into some older homes, so you're going to have to look at that fairly closer to make sure that you don't make a mistake there and you start blowing fuses or whatever the case may be. I mean, understand, if there's never been air conditioning installed before, there's a good chance that you may have to do some electrical work to be able to put these in. Higher SEER rated units typically will draw a little bit less amperage than lower SEER rated units. That's goes along with the gain in efficiency. So this is just an estimate over here. So you can't use this chart to actually make those calls. You have to have that piece of equipment, you know, sitting at your feet so you can take a look at it. But just as an estimate or an idea, how many amps does a 5,000 BTU air conditioner use? Somewhere between 3.6 and 5. So you may be okay with your smaller units, but when you start getting up here to 8,000-10,000 BTU units, your amperage is getting up there to where you really need to start thinking about what circuit am I plugging into this, or do I need to have an electrician come in and actually add a circuit? One thing that the SWS spells out is they do not want us to use extension cords to install a central air conditioning, because just a wall air conditioning unit to make it work. Extension cords are not a good idea when it comes to that. So just keep that in mind. Electrical work definitely can come into play. It's just not a matter of going and sticking an air conditioner in a window and walking away from it. So there may be more involved. The other thing is think about the grounding requirements. So equipment grounding. For this particular installation instruction for this GE unit, they have a note here. Some models may require 115 20 volt AC, grounded outlet protected with a 15 amp time delay fuse or circuit breaker. So the 3-prong grounding plug minimizes the possibility of electrical shock. That's what grounds the metal cabinet on the air conditioner, and probably is going to be required in any local authority having jurisdiction municipality that you might be working in, I'm sure. So you're going to have to plan to have somebody come in and actually, get you a circuit that's going to be approved. It's going to give you the grounding. It's going to give you the amperage that you need. So again, that's an electrical consideration whenever you go out, and if you're the one going out to take a look at this installation, that you're going to have to be thinking about those types of things. So we've had a lot of good questions. Now it's time for the deer in the headlights look. So I think we have a few more minutes to field some additional questions. So
I was getting ready to type this one, but it is a rather long one. I'm going back up to it. Are there going to be standard parts that
reminder
are
there that we need to have our appropriate certifications and licenses depending on what type of refrigerants we're working with.
Thank you.
Final inspections should be conducted on all jobs that cover or cost over $6,000.
Right. The one that I have here, it's saying about the standard parts that are supposed to be replaced with every clean and tune on an AC, like there was for oil furnaces. And I was getting ready to type. I mean, basically, we're saying, the inspection and cleaning of a blower evaporator coil, inspection and correction of refrigerant charger. Oh, can you hear me? Jack? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Kathy.
I hear you also.
Oh, that's funny. I don't think Jack can hear me.
Okay, I got you now.
Do you hear me?
Yep. Sorry about that. I didn't realize I lost my...
I know. No, I'm sorry too, because I'm talking away, and yeah, that's what we seem to be overriding each other. But I was back up at the question about saying about the steps for a clean and tune, and I was saying we do have some steps on page 8 that include the inspection and cleaning of a blower evaporator coil, inspection and correction of refrigerant charge if necessary, inspection and cleaning of the blower fan if necessary. Those are the kind of things, if necessary, inspection and replacement of the filters. So those are the kind of things that we were looking for. That was a question up a ways. Prices, but the prices are set at your agency, but those are the kind of things we'd be looking for a clean and tune. And let's see, I did hear you say there was a question for me, and unfortunately I was too busy trying to figure we are working on finalizing our cooling. Can you clarify the due dates for those budgets? The budgets are due by June 13th. We did allow for some time for that to be able to move some money into your cooling. And I guess is it cut out? Can you guys still hear me?
I can hear you.
That's good. Okay. Let's see. Require the contractor to supply readings and proof that the pressures have been properly set. So yes, or just require the contractor to supply readings and proof that the pressures have been properly set. That would be, so I think he's answering off of the actual final inspection question. And remember that you need a license to work with refrigerant, checking the pressures involves. Okay. I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anything up here because I was trying to, I was typing at the same time. To add a few things that Jack mentioned, there's a big long thing, you guys. Should I read it to everybody? Frank, because I'm a pretty big nerd, I can pay pretty close attention to the relative humidity in my home. I can tell you my wife and I notice a big difference in 72 degrees with a 58% RH, the relative humidity, and a 72 degrees at a 52% relative humidity. Sizing is huge in energy usage when selecting the air source heat pump. In another project, I modeled the difference between a 3-ton heat pump and a 2-ton heat pump in both the same model. The 2-ton heating system costs about $200 less a year. That's really good information. Thank you. Is there any upcoming training for this cooling program we would love to host in our area? Oh, that was $200 for the heating season. And I really can't speak on the training part of this because this is why we were offering the webinar for this particular, for the beginning of this. We know we have the knowledge base at Clean Energy Center, but we do need to work out more about the actual trainings that we can offer.
Is there a specific training that you're looking for, Tom, that would be helpful? You can unmute if you want.
Hey, Jack, I would just, I think our weakest link with our auditors and QCI guys would be on the cooling end, since we never really dabbed ourselves in and got involved in that in the past. So I guess, I know you guys are going to have training and putting something together sometime early next year. I just didn't know if there was anything going to come out maybe toward the end of the summer or the fall or something.
Well,
we could host maybe.
Okay. Well, the specific training that we're developing for heat pumps and central air conditioning, we'll be utilizing our lab because we'll have functional equipment in the lab, and we'll be doing a lot of the commissioning process that should happen with a proper installation and everything else. We'll be walking through sizing and selecting equipment and then commissioning the system, both on the air side and the refrigerant side. So we'll be talking about those things, but that training's not, unfortunately, we're not going to have that probably ready to roll out until early next year. If we can get it done before that, we will. But and again, I think this pilot program will give us an opportunity to find out where some of those needs are, so that we can be a little bit more specific with that training when we get to it. But in the meantime, if there are any questions or concerns that you have from that perspective, feel free to reach out to us. And, you know, if you need one of us to come down and go out with your auditors to get them a little bit more comfortable, or they run into problems that they're just unsure about and need some help, we're always here. All you have to do is reach out and schedule something, and we can work with you from that way.
I just have one question. Where you were going into, like, for the clean and tune and that, what website is that? What is it? Where do we pull that up on? What was you pulling that out of?
If you just type in NREL SWS into your web browser.
That's what, ENRELL or?
Yep, National Renewable.
Only one L. Sorry.
REL.
Oh, yeah.
And that was what, NREL what?
Hold on. I'll just pull it up so that you can see it here.
Yeah, I was wondering where you was bringing that up, Ariel. That.
So it's swsnrel.gov up here, if you can see the browser bar.
Oh, yeah. See.
Thank you, Jason. He put it in the chat box also.
Okay. Thank you.
Josh is also mentioning that Lowe's has a good video for window unit installation. Check it out. There was a question about window unit. Give me a moment. What are the requirements for securing window units safely? Is that covered in the SWSs? And I'm thinking not, because that sort of goes with what you're putting, like the window makes a difference. Or is there? Maybe there is.
Let's see.
And we've got 2 minutes, so I apologize for.
We'll see what we can.
But Jack, thank you so much. If I don't get a chance to say that, you've done a great job here.
So support and installation are two drop downs, and basically they refer you to the manufacturer. Installation instructions in both cases needs to be stable, secure, and not pose occupant risk. So here is where there is a note as far as installation, where required, maintain egress requirements. So your local authority can help you out with that. Sometimes it's going to be a little tough if there's only one bedroom window. But that's where at a minimum you would go. The manufacturer is going to tell you, based on your application, probably what you should do as far as installation and what support that you might need for that unit. What warranty? The warranty, it's a 1-year warranty from the installer standpoint. I don't know that there's a warranty spelled out, Kathy, for.
That's right. It's a
the-
manufacturer's warranty on the actual unit.
Yeah.
And then there was another offering of a YouTube video. Maybe I already said that out loud, but Lowe's has a good video for window unit installation. I may have already said that out loud. I apologize if I'm repeating myself now, but really good questions and very good description of what we need.
Okay. Well, if there aren't any more questions, if you have a question that comes up, it's from a technical perspective, feel free to reach out to the Clean Energy Center. And if it's something on the policy side, obviously, reach out to Kathy. And if it's something that crosses the line, send it to both of us and we'll work on it together. So good luck with the program. I hope it's successful. I hope it's an opportunity to make it even larger in the future. And stay out of the heat.
Yeah.